Okay, usually it automatically records. Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad I can be joining you today, and thank you so much for your interest in the Fulbright program. I'm going to just go ahead and share my slides here. One second. Here we go. Okay, can all of you see that? Great. So as I mentioned, my name is Julie Taylor. I'm Director of Academic Relations for the Fulbright program, and I work for the Institute of International Education, which is the organization that administers the Fulbright program on behalf of the U.S. State Department. Fulbright is a partnership with 160 countries worldwide, and it offers passionate and accomplished faculty, artists, and other professionals from all backgrounds an unparalleled opportunity to teach or conduct research abroad. Now, most of this presentation is going to be geared for people for the U.S. Scholars Program, which is for U.S. citizens to go abroad. But I noticed that obviously there are people here from all over, since International Studies Association has many people who are members from other countries. And so I will also be referring to what you should be doing in order to access the Visiting Scholars Program. And if I end up bypassing anything, because I don't usually present on that, please just remind me or mention something in the chat. But much of this general information applies to both programs. So our mission is to foster mutual understanding between nations, advance knowledge across communities, and improve lives around the world. And I know that every organization has a mission, and it is very important when you're applying for a program, especially the Fulbright program, to refer to that mission, to really have almost everything in your application tying back to that mission and explaining how you're going to be an agent for that mission, whether you're teaching or conducting research or some type of professional project. So I'll talk more about that, kind of weave it in as we go along. And there's sort of four major distinctions about the U.S. Scholar Program. It awards over 800 fellowships a year. Fulbright is by far the largest fellowship program for U.S. scholars. So there's 800 or so fellowships per year that we're awarding to U.S. scholars. On the visiting scholar side, that's about 900 fellowships per year. On the U.S. scholar side, of those 800 that we provide, there's about 403 different types of awards, and then we provide multiples on many of those. So that's how you get to over 800 per year being awarded. Fulbright is a public diplomacy program. It was established by Congress in 1946, and it's sponsored by the U.S. State Department. When you're on a Fulbright, you're an ambassador of the United States and of your community and of your lived American experience. And we seek applicants who foster engagement, forge lasting connections, and strive for long-term impact. Now, I'm emphasizing these things because I know there's a lot of opportunities out there for you to apply to, and a lot of them involve developing a research project. You have to write out your research methodology, your research design of the exact steps you're going to do. There are fewer opportunities for teaching, but if you're teaching, you apply, you turn in a syllabus, things like that. But what's different about Fulbright is that those things that you do, that you will describe in your Fulbright application, they're a means to an end, which the end goal for Fulbright really is forging these long-term connections, creating engagement on the ground in the host country with that community. It could be just the community of scholars that you're in. and then bringing back that learning home and embedding it in your home community. So maybe you make changes to your syllabus in your classroom, or it'll give you a different perspective when you're teaching, or you're going to produce some research that will be important maybe for your discipline, but maybe also for the host country that you're going to. So it's the impact is really what Fulbright is focused on, more so than the individual projects that get you to the impact. That doesn't mean you don't have to have a very viable statement, something that the committee has confidence that you're able to accomplish, but it really means that right up front on that application, you want to be focusing on fostering those mutual understanding and those types of long-term connections. And then the fourth thing that's distinctive about the program is that Fulbright is elite, but not elitist. And what that means is that we're a very selective program that seeks to represent the best of the United States and our sponsoring countries in all of its diversity. And we encourage the involvement of people from traditionally underrepresented audiences in all of our programs and other initiatives. Opportunities in Fulbright are open to people regardless of their race, color, national origin, sex, age, religion, geographic location, socioeconomic status, disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And I know that that statement sounds like a lot of diversity statements that you've probably heard these days, but the reason why I wanted to emphasize it on this slide is that to let you know that for Fulbright, this is the State Department's #1 priority. Because think about it, it's a public diplomacy program, taxpayer funded. They want to ensure that each cohort that they send out is representing the breadth of the American experience. And so, they want for people who are first generation to go to college, who are recent citizens of the United States. When they talk about diversity, it's really much broader than is even expressed in this statement. They want people from all sorts of geographic locations, different types of institutions, adjunct professors, emeritus professors. Now, none of this factors in to the actual selection process. You're being selected based on the criteria that are outlined for the application. And when they're in committee, that's what everyone is referring to when they're judging the application. But for IIE, an organization that administers the program, that means it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we're reaching out to as many different communities as possible and encouraging people to apply and to really see themselves in the program. So why Fulbright? Well, I didn't fully believe it when I first came onto the program 3 years ago, that everyone kept referring to Fulbright as transformational. And I just thought like, oh, okay, well, that's a nice thing to say about your program. Everyone wants a transformational experience. But actually, this word is the most mentioned word in our alumni surveys that we take after people complete the program. And when they talk about it being transformational, it really runs the gamut of how it was transformational for them. For many of them, it really is focused on the types of relationships that they've developed, and these end up being long-term relationships, both personal and professional in nature. It helps them expand their publishing network. Someone did a study recently using our data, and they looked at publishing before the Fulbright and then publishing the 5 years after the Fulbright. And there was a marked increase in publishing with people from the host country, as you'd imagine, but an increase, I think it was from 17% prior to 52% in the 5 years afterwards, of people publishing with individuals from the host institution. So that's really not surprising. These host institutions, a lot of times they have put up the money for the awards because they really want people in these disciplines to come to their institution and conduct research that is important to the rest of their faculty or to their center or to their department. And so it's not surprising that you'd end up with this significant increase in publishing. And what I really found interesting about this article is that you're not just increasing your publishing with somebody from the host institution or host country, but most of those resulting publications also had people from third countries who were involved in the publication. So you really expand your network. And I think your presence as an international scholar. And one of the things that we've noticed on this type of international collaboration is it tends to lead to more citations. So that also is a professional impact for you, a great benefit of the program. People become much more multicultural in the classroom. And there's a whole range of reasons why, but things that they cite are that they just have more empathy for their students from underrepresented populations, because they now have experienced what it is like to be in a classroom in which they are the other. And they don't know exactly what's going on. And they're having to adapt and ask for help and speak up when they don't understand. So a lot of them just become more sensitive. Others decolonize their syllabus or bring in new content to their courses. They may actually end up co-teaching with people from the host institution, or at least having them in virtually as guest lecturers. And a lot of times they end up kind of shifting their teaching, and they start teaching on different subjects as a result of their Fulbright experience. They end up serving as ambassadors for international exchange. Granted, I don't think most people are coming to the Fulbright program saying, I want to be an ambassador, but it really is an amazing transformation. And we find that people who are Fulbrighters suddenly they want to encourage their colleagues to apply for this opportunity. They encourage students to apply for the Fulbright program. They become more involved in international exchanges on their campus. And they gain the professional recognition of being recognized as a Fulbright scholar, and they join a vibrant alumni network. So in a lot of the countries, you'll see that they have maybe meetings in which, for instance, in Italy, they have a meeting in which you meet with other Italian alumni of the Fulbright program. You present your research to them or give a talk in front of those alumni. And there's an Italian, a Fulbright Italian Alumni Association. And so you can remain in touch with people through that association. Finland also has a very vibrant association. So each one of the many of the host countries have an alumni association. And then there's a national Fulbright Association for the United States that you can also remain a part of. And it's always good to engage with funders who feel invested in you, like Fulbright will, in your future success. Because when they publicize your future success after you have become a Fulbright scholar, it's publicizing the program's success. And so a lot of times these alumni networks are announcing when you've published a study or a book or received some type of honor. So it is also something that really can help you professionally. Fulbright is family friendly. Approximately 60% of our awards provide some form of dependent support. And many Fulbright dependents go on to have international careers. In fact, when we're talking about the transformational aspect of the program, many people cite the impact on their family. And the State Department is very supportive of you bringing your family on the award because that just means that there's more than one ambassador for a lived U.S. experience who's going abroad and representing the United States. So they're very encouraging of that. Fulbright is supportive. So you're not alone. You're not just parachuting into country and then having to make your own way. 70% of applicants during the application process and afterwards engage with IIE staff. Actually, that statistic is just for the application process. People continue to engage IIE faculty, IIE staff once they're in country. And there's continued support while you're in country from that country's commission or post. By post, I mean the US Embassy, the section within the US Embassy that handles Fulbright. So you have two sources to go to if there are any issues that could arise, but it's much broader than that. Our alumni are a key resource. So right now when you're applying, I recommend that you go to the Fulbright Scholar Directory and you look up alumni who may have done research that's in your area, people who are going to places that you want to go to, and you can sort of see if maybe it would be worthwhile for you to reach out to them and find out more about their experience. We also, I'll show you at the end, we have a set of Fulbright Scholar ambassadors, and they are people who have signed up specifically to answer your questions about taking a Fulbright. So they can talk to you about things like negotiating leave with your university or bringing your kids with you, how to find schools, things like that. So our awards are obviously varied. If there's 403 different types of awards, it varies so much inside of this catalog that you really have to just spend time in the catalog using all of the research terms on the side and narrowing in on awards that are applicable for you. So there are, well, I'll just describe content-wise. So there are all disciplines awards. So India, for example, has many all disciplines awards, and that's sort of make your own Fulbright adventure. So you can go to any institution, any place inside of the country, and regardless of what subject matter you study. So, so that one is very open. But then there are ones that are extremely specific. So maybe I sent out one and we'll take a look at it that's about NATO in Belgium. So it's about NATO in general, but the award is in Belgium. So that's a very specific country and a very specific topic. And then others are, as I mentioned, these ones that are sponsored by a particular institution or a center within an institution. And they are also topic specific. So it really runs the gamut. There's 4 award types. The vast majority of the awards are scholar awards, just fall into that category. And then there's postdoctoral awards. So there's about 18 different types of postdocs. We provide multiples of those. So it's like 23 to 25 different postdocs will be awarded each year. And so if you're coming to the end of your graduate studies, that's a good one to apply to. It's also if you're a faculty member just in your first couple of years, you can take a look at those. And then we have a whole nother category that's based on professional profile of you being early career. Early career scholars are people who have are within 7 years of having received their PhD. So there's a whole host of awards that are open to people who are junior in their faculty development, and but the postdoc awards are just a small subset of those because they deal more with training and research. Then there's distinguished scholar awards. We've noticed a lot of times that women shy away from applying for the distinguished scholar awards. Please don't do that. You're more than qualified to apply for these awards. And as you'll see, they vary in terms of the eligibility. On many of them, it may require that you have an institutional affiliation, which is not the case on a lot of awards in our catalog. They tend to be directed toward tenure-line faculty who have received tenure. But not all of them are for senior faculty only. A lot of them are open to people who are recently tenured. Then there's the International Education Administrators Awards. These are awards for people who are involved in international education, either in a staff position, typically in a staff position. And they're 2-week seminars in which you go to another country and learn about their system of education and make contacts within that country, hopefully to improve international exchange opportunities. There's Fulbright is flexible. So on 63 of the countries in the catalog offer what's called the flex option, which allows you to go for multiple visits over 2 years. The shortest stint that I've seen allowed is 1 month. So it's not as if you can, just go for a week and then go for a week here. It specifies within the award what the parameters are. And then we have a global award. That's our most subscribed award, very competitive award, but it allows people to go to multiple regions. We have regional awards, for instance, in South Central Asia, and you should take a look at those opportunities. You'll also see that some of the awards, for instance, in East Asia, they have an award that would then, and in Latin America, Western Hemisphere, they allow you to perhaps take a trip. There's an option for being able to take a trip and provide a lecture in another country. So keep an eye out for those opportunities. See something. Let me say something. So for the U.S. Scholar Program, eligibility is limited to U.S. citizens. Now, if you are a foreign scholar, you can apply for the Visiting Scholar Program in order to come to the United States. Most of those are research opportunities. Not all of them. There's also a Scholar in Residence program, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I'll talk about that at the end of this presentation. I'll say something about that. Now, for those research opportunities, you would need to have a letter of invitation from the host university. And you apply for those through your country's commission or post. So you look up the Fulbright, whoever is representing Fulbright in your country. And on top of the U.S. citizenship, which is the main eligibility requirement, then you'll see on the awards that it really varies in terms of the type of terminal degree that you need. And most of them need a PhD or other terminal degree. Some of them allow for an MA and higher education teaching or professional experience. So again, you have to read the details. And professional and or artistic experience with substantial accomplishments. Also, you'll see on many of the teaching awards that prior experience with teaching is required. Also, another eligibility component is compliance with policies on previous scholar awards and waiting periods between grants. So you need to wait 2 years before grants before you can apply again for a Fulbright. But we encourage you to apply throughout your career. Many people have multiple Fulbright awards. I'm going to skip this page because you'll see that we recently changed our URL. It used to be CIES.org. It's now Fulbright Scholars with an S at the end, scholars.org. And we also changed the look of our award pages. So this is now old. So why don't we go ahead and just take a look at one of the awards. So here is one that is specific, I thought would be of interest to the ISA audience. This is the NATO Securities Award. Are you able to see that?
We are still looking at the slides.
Okay. Let me do a share. Let me exit out of this. I'm going to stop that share and go to here. Can you see that now?
Yep, we can see the website now.
Okay. And if only I could drag this. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Now I can see it. That helps. Okay, so you scroll down. So here's the NATO Security Studies Award. As I mentioned, it is in Belgium, and you can do a variety of different things on this award. If you look under activity type, you can do a professional project, research, teaching research. A PhD or terminal degree is not required. One of the reasons why is because they're probably very interested in having people with professional experience as well as professors. It is open to mid-career academics, professionals, and senior academics. So it's not open to junior faculty. Here are the disciplines. And I recommend that you always look at this because we have a section down below in which the commission or the post can go in and describe what they're looking for. And a lot of times it is not that clear. We are looking at your applications at IIE and ensuring that your discipline meets these required disciplines. So always look over here to see what is required. And as you can see, international relations, law, political science, we got a lot of different disciplines there. It is a partnership between the NATO Public Diplomacy Division and Fulbright, and it invites American academics and professionals to conduct a research or professional project that fosters awareness and understanding of NATO. It can also be about issues that are important to NATO, such as cybersecurity. And the successful candidate will spend one semester researching or research teaching on transatlantic security studies at a university or think tank of their choice in Belgium. And then they will facilitate you having contact with officials at NATO, especially to facilitate your research on NATO-related issues. So that is an interesting opportunity. And here they go a little bit more in the bottom about their areas of interest. That's how I knew about the cybersecurity, military history, for example. You can also look up this award in the Scholar Directory, and you can find what the exact titles of what other people have submitted in the past. If you go over here, you can find out, go through all the different tabs on each award to find out about their requirements. So dual citizens are not eligible to apply. That's important information. It does not hold true across all Fulbright awards. A letter of invitation is preferred, but not required. They mentioned something here, for example, that many of the people go to the German Marshall Fund, which is headquartered in Brussels, and they have some helpful contacts. So make sure to read through the whole thing. The allowance is pretty good, $6,000 per month. And then they provide some information on the standard of living. So if we could go to one of the other awards. Here is one, Fulbright-Diplomatic Academy Visiting Professor of International Studies in Austria. And it is open to early career academics, mid-career, and senior academics. A PhD is required in this case, and it starts A lot of times the starting period is flexible, but on this one, it starts in January and then it's 5 to 6 months. So the period is a bit flexible. Then here are the disciplines, and it's a flexible combination of teaching and research activities that entails teaching 2 classes. And they give you the amount of time that will be required in the Diplomatic Academy's graduate program. The content and level will be negotiated with them upon you receiving the grant. So this is lovely. It's located at the Vienna School of International Studies. I'm sure that anyone would enjoy being there. Let me see if I can get another one here. Let me just pull up one other. Let's see. A Fulbright Professional Scholarship in Australian American Alliance Studies. On this one, you really do have to be quite specific on issues related to the American Australian Alliance. And they provide you some information on the profiles of people who have received this award previously. That's always helpful. Let's see. So a letter of invitation from this institute is required. And then here are the award benefits, 5,000 Australian dollars per month. And then there's additional dependent benefits that are available. On some of these awards, the housing is also available, but again, you have to look quite specific. Let's see, this one in Finland, seeking solutions for global challenges. This one does have a housing is provided by the institution that you affiliate with. And I know that that sounds really strange that you would actually go and request from an institution that they provide housing. So it says housing for the scholar and their family is expected to be arranged and paid for by the host institution. This information should be confirmed in the letter of invitation. Applicants should communicate their housing needs to the host institution during the application process. So, but this award has been around for a while. Many people have applied for it. So these institutions are not surprised when you are asking for the provision of housing. Let's see. Let me go back to my slides. Okay, so are you seeing the slide again? Great. So the application components, there's an application form, a project statement, CV, 2 letters of recommendation, and a language proficiency report if required. But on most of these awards, English is sufficient, but you need to look. And then a letter of invitation if required. Now, on some of them, it says that a letter of recommendation is recommended. Now, you're not going to be disqualified, but remember that if you don't have it, but remember that the committee is looking at the viability of the project. And so if you do have that award, of course, it's going to seem as if your application is even more viable because the host has signed on and is fine with you coming to their institution. They're not actually approving the project, but they're just saying that they would be open to this project. So, so I would recommend if it says that it's that a letter of invitation is preferred, that you do try to get one. But don't worry too much if you can't get it in time. That's one of the reasons why you really want to start your application ahead of time. If you need to get a language proficiency report, or especially if you need a letter of invitation, sometimes people are not around during the summer. And so, you really want to get on them before they go away, especially for those August vacations in Europe. And you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute on that. On the supplemental materials that may be needed, course outlines or syllabi for teaching, selected bibliography for research, and portfolio submissions for artists, architects, and journalists. So here's the application cycle. Oops. The deadline is September 15th. That's what we're coming up on. And then we immediately go into technical review to ensure completeness of the application so that we can start U.S. peer review committees in October and November. And these are discipline-based committees of your peers. Usually they're Fulbright alumni. And they review the application. That is the first level of review. You'll find out about their recommendation of whether or not the application goes on to in-country review, host country review, in November through January. Usually it's in December, obviously. And once it goes to in-country review, though, then the window is very long. So, or can be. So it's anywhere from January to June that final decisions are made. And this may be one of the reasons why you shouldn't wait too long to inform your school that you have applied. I would definitely say once you have, I know that many of you are reluctant to talk to people about applying at this point, administrators about applying at this point, but if you find that you're going to in-country review, that is a very good time to inform people at your school that you may be looking to need leave or sabbatical in the following year so that they're not surprised. And then we start preparing people for departure starting in June. So here's what I mentioned about the Fulbright Alumni Ambassadors. These people have signed up to share information about their experience in Fulbright. So please feel free to reach out to them. It says cis.org/alumni ambassadors. It is now Fulbright Scholars/alumni.org/alumni ambassadors. But so I need to make that change. But if you did cis.org, it would send you there regardless. So here are some of these other opportunities. And like I said, for those of you who would be coming in on the visiting scholar program, if you were looking for a teaching opportunity, you would come in as a scholar in residence. And then if you were a visiting scholar in country, then you might be on the roster to participate in the Outreach Lecturing Fund program. So I'm gonna just talk about these first two. The Fulbright Scholar in Residence program allows for US institutions to host a scholar from another country to teach for a semester or an academic year. And so you can put it in a proposal, get your dean's sign off on this, and to host someone. And it could be somebody that you know or you've identified from another country, or it could be, that you want somebody who does environmental issues in Africa, and then we would try and find someone for you to come teach on that. And then the Outreach Lecturing Fund is our roster of visiting scholars who are in the country who are willing to come to US universities to lecture for 2 to 6 days on a discipline or cultural topic meant to internationalize your campus's lecture offerings. So that is a short-term opportunity, but these programs are funded by the US government. So it's a way to globalize your campus with very little outlay. So I'm going to stop sharing there, and I welcome any questions that you may have. Michelle, I'm fine with people just speaking, or if there are any questions that are in the chat, I can go ahead and answer those.
It looks like you have 2 questions in the Q&A, and then some people might be putting some in the chat as well.
Okay. let's see, can one apply for more than one program a year? Unfortunately, no, you can only apply for one award per year. And then what was the other, let's see. And it looks like you answered the question about the international graduate student. Joseph. Was there another question, Michelle? Oh, the letter of invitation. The letter of invitation is saying that they're open to having you do the project at their institution, but they're not endorsing the project or saying that, you know, that they're not supposed to be influencing the decision of the committees that are doing the review.
You also have a question here. Can you apply for a Fulbright Scholar Award from a university that is not listed in your awards list? It's under the Q&A function at the bottom.
From a university. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by the awards list, Gloria. You can, I mean, people apply who are unaffiliated with universities. It just depends on the requirements of the award. So if you look there, I mean, some of them are open to adjunct faculty, to people who are independent scholars, independent artists. So there isn't a sort of list of Fulbright institutions who are qualified to apply.
Okay, so she just clarified if a host is not listed. So I believe that they're a U.S. scholar who wants to go abroad, but the host that they're looking for the university is not listed in the awards catalog. Right, okay.
Well, you would look at that country's award offerings and see if there was an award that was more open and would allow you to select an institution. So if you didn't see an award from that particular institution, then that's how you would do that. And some countries have all disciplines, any institution type of awards, while also having a whole host of very specific institutional awards. So there are options. Can foreign scholars apply for postdoctoral programs where they don't really term it as postdoctoral programs? I don't think in the visiting scholars program, but there are awards for coming and doing research, and then you essentially would be sort of creating your own postdoc through those awards. My advisor is a two-time Fulbrighter, good. And another one of my dissertation committee members is also alum. Does that mean? They disclose any conflict of interest when they're signed up on a committee. So sometimes people will know someone or have worked closely with them or are currently working with them, and they leave the room during the review of that application. Separate application for teaching versus teaching research opportunities. Now it's the same application. It's just you look at the requirements for the award that you're applying to, and then you tailor your responses according to that award. On the opportunities, let's see. Oh, okay, it's moving a lot. What are restrictions for clinical work with patients in a teaching hospital? I'm afraid it is restricted. We don't cover that. You're not able to engage physically with patients or basically there isn't direct engagement with patients. I'm a dual citizen. Can I apply for a European country or will I be penalized? Well, it depends on the country. I mean, on some of them, they do not allow for dual citizens to apply. And on other countries, they're very open to it. So again, you just have to check the particulars of that award. And the opportunities for university administrators. Yeah, we have the International Education Administrators Award. I highly encourage people to apply. We have opportunities in Germany, France, South Korea, Taiwan, India. So if you look at those, they're 2-week seminars, and you go and you learn about a country's educational system, and it's in the hopes that, you know, potential MOUs could develop from that, maybe less formal exchange experiences, but that's exactly what that award is intended for. Let's see. Are there others here in the chat? Actually, Michelle, are we able to make it so that it's open and people can speak?
Let me take a look.
I'm happy to answer them. On Bolivia, if you don't see a flex option in the award, then they would not allow multiple visits. And it would be on that first tab of the award that it would tell you if it's a flex option.
I can allow them to speak if they want to raise their hand. I can't allow everyone to speak at once, but if they want to raise their hand, I can press the allow to speak button.
Okay. I think on the nurse practitioner question and whether or not there are opportunities, you know, as I mentioned, there aren't opportunities for directly working with patients, but there might be opportunities for teaching, for example. But you're going to have to search through the catalog. There are certainly plenty of opportunities in nursing or open to nursing.
Hi, is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, I actually typed a question just as you were moving off of those, but I'll just ask it. So I have 2 questions, I think maybe more, but one is, I was unclear if I'm applying, for example, I was looking at Spain. Am I applying just to one position at one university, or am I applying to all of the positions in Spain, for example?
No, just for that one award.
One award. So, and I guess that's where my question is if I don't have a research project planned, like, I guess I'm struggling with how far do I need to go with planning a project for this possible university that I'm not, you know what I'm saying, that I'm not at yet. That I think I'm struggling a little to find how far I go with that.
It would depend, is there a university, there are many awards in Spain, is there a university that their award sort of matches more what you might be interested in?
No, I mean, well, so that's sort of where I'm struggling a little. So I came along this international education. My background is more like TESOL and languages, and I have a PhD in it. And so I guess I thought, and I'm a somewhat recent grad, so I'm still a, I guess, postdoc, you could call it. So, so I guess what I wasn't clear on is when I look at TESOL or EFL, I think specifically, I only am seeing some very specific things. And I thought, then I saw all these others, for example, in Spain was one of them that had any discipline. So I was like, okay, well, I'm any discipline. But then what? So I don't see that. And I'm seeing so many that say any discipline. So, and then I don't know, as a sort of newer scholar, if I'm even up against anybody of any degree in any discipline, how much chance I have, first of all. But even aside from that, I guess I don't have a project planned. So I think I'm just having a hard time getting started. I guess I'm unclear.
I mean, think of a project that you like, look at where you want to go, for example. That would be the start. And then if it has an all disciplines award, and then I would look at the strengths of that school. If it aligns with what you're looking to do, you know, it may give you ideas on what to propose. Many of those are research, I think, research oriented, and
which is fine. I'm research and teaching, so that's fine. So then I guess I would look and try to narrow it down to one, and then I'm proposing a project that I would do at their school.
Yes.
Right. But so I see why you're saying letter of invitation might be a nice thing.
Yes.
Okay. And then assuming, let's say this is looking like it's working out. I mean, at some point I need IRB and that sort of thing, but I guess you do that later, or?
That's something that you do with your university.
With them. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I might also suggest, if you need help developing your project a little more, we also have office hours as well.
Oh, okay.
So you can find those on our website, and you can sign up for those as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see that. Oh, thank you. I've looked at the website. So on the website, there's somewhere to sign up for office hours.
So if you go, here's an award. If you look over on the left, it says join an office hour. And here are office hours, and they're related to the different areas. And then, thank you so much for mentioning this. I completely forgot to do it. And then there's also specific webinars on regions. So, so for instance, we have one on Morocco that's coming up, one on France. And so maybe some of these might be applicable. And then we have ones that really go step by step through the application. But you can, on any of the office hours, they're there to answer the specific questions about applying.
That's great. Thank you.
Good save, Michelle. Let's see. Lulu?
Hi, Julie. This is Lulu. I have two questions. The first question is regarding the host site. I have the industry partners from France. I wonder, can a host site be a company instead of the institution?
On which award?
For this global scholar.
Oh, on the Global Scholar Award?
Yes.
It might be possible you would want to contact the commission in France in order to ask them about that. But which is fine, you know, that they're there to answer those questions. And there's a contact inside of each one of the France awards for the commission.
Okay, so
And
where
then-
if I?
And then, you know, we have the webinar on France. So if you
Right.
attend that, then there'll probably be somebody from the commission there.
Oh, okay, I see. Because I just attended this Italy webinar this afternoon, and
Okay.
I mentioned the same question. They said no.
An industry sponsor. So you would be going to a business?
Well, it's actually a software we're using. So they always come to our university, you know, so to offer the training, you know, emphasize the collaboration. So I wonder if this is can be an opportunity I can apply to see their company, you know, also we'll be able to communicate with their researchers, see more collaborations.
If you are sponsored by a company, is that what you're saying, and would be representing this software abroad? Is that?
I don't know how this works. Yes, you know.
Yeah, I don't think that would be allowed under a Fulbright. If it was your university research that you were conducting abroad and you went to a company, some of the countries will allow that for you to conduct a research project or a professional project. But if you were sponsored by a company, then that probably would not be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the second question is, if I know a researcher from the host institution, will the letter of invitation coming from the researcher, from this researcher I know, or from someone at the administration levels of the host institution?
That researcher should facilitate something from a leader at the host institution.
Okay, so
So
the
they would
researcher has
facilitate,
to. Oh, okay.
yeah, with the administrator.
Oh, okay. So it cannot be directly coming from the researcher I know, right?
No, it would need to be more administrative.
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you.
Welcome. Let's see, are there other questions in the chat? Elvira?
Hi, Dr. Taylor. Thank you so much for this time. I've learned a lot, and I've been working on this application for about 2 years, just trying to get all the components that I need. And I guess my question at this point is there an opportunity to maybe share a draft of the application, the project description, with anyone at the IIE, or what do you recommend for getting feedback on a draft before we submit the final application?
They don't tend to read full drafts, but if you wanted to reach out to the person who's associated with your award, there should be an IIE contact person. You can ask them to take a look at maybe the a part of the statement, but you can also, if other Fulbright alumni, they're often open to reading them. If you're at a certain institution, there might be a Fulbright liaison for that institution. I'm not sure if you're aware, like in the Fulbright directory, who might be willing to fully read the project statement. But you can, show them sections of it. It's just right now they don't typically have time to read all the way through.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello.
Okay, hi. I have a question. It's maybe kind of odd, but so I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen, and the country that I'm interested in going to is the country that I was born in. Would that be seen as a disadvantage to go there, or would that, be seen as, doesn't matter, depends on the quality of your proposal?
We've asked countries to specify if it is a problem for them in the award. So if you don't see that language, then it isn't a problem. If they have a restriction like that, then they should mention it. Some of them may say that there would be a preference for people who have never been to the country before, for example. But it really depends. I mean, we have many people who are, heritage applicants.
Okay, thank you.
There was a question about, I'm still a tenure track professor, but I have more than 7 years of experience after I got my PhD by summer 2023. I assume that I am still considered an early career academic. If the cutoff is 7 years, then you could apply for mid-career, but you need to look at the specifics of each award. It's just that category tends to be defined as 7 years.
Julie, so we are at 4:05 and the office hour started at 4, so we do unfortunately have to end.
Yes. Well, thank you very much to everyone. Please go ahead. I'll put my, let's see, J. Taylor at iie.org. There, I put my email in the chat, so you can feel free to contact me. But as we pointed out, there's also ways that you can go on for office hours, and we're here to answer any of your questions. And I hope all of you will be applying for Fulbright. Thank you. Take care. Bye.